There are stories that never make it into history books. Stories buried under classified stamps, erased from headlines, and sealed inside silence. But sometimes, the person who saves the world is the one no one ever remembers. This is the story of a boy, a hacker, who almost triggered the end of the world, and then stopped it. It happened in the early 1980 seconds. The Cold War wasn't just a political standoff. It was a chess game played in the dark. America and the Soviet Union were both armed with enough nuclear firepower to erase humanity 10 times over. One wrong signal, one mistake, and the world would end before breakfast. Somewhere in a quiet suburb of London lived a 17-year-old boy named Eliot Carter. He wasn't a spy. He wasn't even a soldier. He was just a kid with thick glasses, a second-hand computer, and an obsession with exploring the unseen. He used to say that computer screens were like windows into other minds. At night, while his parents slept, Eliot connected his modem to the phone line, that crackling, screeching dial tone of the early internet. And he would roam. Government databases, weather satellites, universities in America. He wasn't stealing, he wasn't breaking, he was curious. He wanted to understand how everything connected. Until one night, he connected to something that was never meant to be found. The screen went black. Then a blinking cursor appeared. A line of code, numbers, coordinates, and one word, launch. Eliot thought it was a simulation, a test server. So he did what any teenage hacker would do. He played. He typed a few commands, pressed enter, and suddenly, alarms began to sound not in his room, but in an underground bunker across the ocean. In the United States, military systems lit up with what looked like a Soviet missile launch. Early warning radars confirmed it. For 6 long minutes, officials believed the USSR had begun a nuclear strike. Eliot didn't know it yet, but his curiosity had just walked straight into the world's most dangerous misunderstanding. Somewhere in a secret room, generals were preparing to retaliate. And somewhere else, a teenage boy was about to hit disconnect. Moments before the US command could escalate, a Soviet analyst noticed something strange. The signal pattern didn't match any known launch code. It looked hand-typed. And then, just like that, it vanished from their systems. The world didn't end that night, but it almost did. The next morning, Eliot woke up to a knock on his door. Men in dark suits, no badges, no names. They took his computer, his notebooks, even his modem, and then he disappeared. For decades, no one heard from him again. No news stories, no trials. Just rumors, whispers in hacker circles about the boy who stopped the war. It wasn't until 2003, when a declassified report surfaced, that fragments of his story re-emerged. A British civilian had unknowingly triggered a false launch alert. The report called him the intruder. But among those who worked in early cybersecurity, they called him something else, the ghost in the wire. Experts later said that Eliot's accidental intrusion exposed a flaw in the global defense network. A flaw so dangerous that without him, it might have stayed hidden until it was too late. His mistake forced both nations to quietly rebuild their nuclear early warning systems. He never asked for credit. He never spoke publicly. Some say he changed his name. Others believe he was recruited by intelligence agencies. But those who knew him said he carried guilt for the rest of his life. He didn't see himself as a hero. He saw himself as a boy who pressed the wrong key. Yet maybe that's what makes this story haunting. Because sometimes, history is shaped not by power or politics, but by a moment of human error that reveals how fragile our systems truly are. Somewhere out there, in a dusty file, lies the record of one forgotten hacker who nearly ended the world and accidentally saved it. And maybe, when you stare into a glowing screen late at night, you'll remember him. The boy who learned that knowledge can be both the spark and the fire. We build walls, we draw lines, we trust machines to protect us. But in the end, it's always a human being on the other side of the keyboard. And sometimes that's the only thing keeping